growing life. Welcome to the How to Get Started on Your Homeschool Journey series that I am doing with my friend Audra Talley with Homeschool Idaho. We are excited to encourage you, new moms, as you're just getting started on your homeschool journey, and you veteran moms who just need a little bit more encouragement, and also a resource to share with your friends. So we have already done 4 sessions, and we've discussed homeschool law, who should homeschool, why and when to start, how to juggle homeschooling with being a parent. And we did a 2-part series of teaching and learning styles. So go back and listen to those if you haven't already. They're on our YouTube channel. And stay tuned for more episodes that we put out in this 10-part series. Today, we're going to be talking about something that sounds dry, but it's important, and we're going to try to make it exciting for you. We're talking about homeschooling schedules, how to schedule homeschooling. That's a question we get a lot from moms saying, okay, I'm excited, I want to do this, but what does this look like as far as how does my year look? How does my day look? How do I practically schedule homeschool? So Audra's here to share a little bit about what that looks like. Welcome, Audra.
Hi, it's good to be back.
Thank you. So tell us, I know the public school we've a lot of us have been in the public school, and we know that we start in September or August now, and we go to May, and it's this many days a week and this many lessons and this da, 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 da. Is that how my homeschool needs to look?
Actually, it doesn't.
Wonderful.
And for some of you, that is exactly what you wanted to hear.
Right.
Okay? That it doesn't have to look like the public school. It doesn't have to fit that rigid schedule.
Right.
And for some of you, it's terrifying because you need that structure. You need that rules or routine approach.
Right.
And so that's what we're going to try to give you is maybe some framework that will give you some security about how your days can run, but not stifle the reality of what your family life is like.
Right. Because we are still doing family, right? We're not putting our kids in a separate room, a separate house, to go to school a certain amount. We still have sick pets. We still have the unexpected phone calls, the grocery shopping. So we're also doing real life. So our schedules do look different.
Yes, exactly. So again, this is about adapting to your lifestyles, and this is going to hopefully give you some just basic ideas, and then you can compare that to your life. And also that from one year to the next, what works for one school year may not work the following year because something might have shifted in your life. So don't feel like, well, why isn't it working this year? Or it should be working. Don't feel like every year needs to look like the previous year.
Right. We do not work for our schedules. Our schedules work for us. And that's, also when we talk about curriculum, we don't work for our curriculum works for us. So keep that in mind that the schedule is to work for you, not to put you in bondage to the schedule.
Exactly. So let's kind of look at this. We're going to do kind of the flyover year. Okay. What your usual year will look like.
Okay.
And so this annual year is made up of approximately like 180 days of schoolwork. But again, don't get caught on that. So what I would call your annual format are those families who choose to homeschool year round.
Okay. The year-round schoolers.
Right. And you'll hear there's a lot of families who love this because there's a lot of built-in flexibility.
Right.
But don't let that idea, like, are we going to be going to school 5 days a week, 4 weeks a month, 365 days a year?
Don't run. It doesn't look like
that. Don't run away.
Yeah.
No. So a lot of these families will do like a month of schoolwork, and then they'll take a week off. And they'll do a month, and then they'll take a week off. And so you can kind of develop a rhythm. You don't kind of get to that month is where you get your rhythm going, and then you take a break, and then you get your rhythm going. And it provides a lot of structure, and you can position your weeks off around your holidays, family vacations, work schedules, all of that. So, but it gives you an easy accountability tracking. We need to do school for 4 weeks, and then we get our week off. Right. And then you start your year whenever you need to. Some people start their year in June. Some people start it in November or January. So your year doesn't necessarily match your calendar per se.
Okay.
With year-round homeschooling.
Okay. Wonderful. So that's the annual format, the
Mhm.
year-round look. Okay. So then you
Okay.
have the traditional format as well, right?
Right, which
Okay.
is what you typically remember from growing up, kind of that
Right.
late August, September to May, early June format.
Right.
You have a long summer break. It typically includes like 180 days or a 30-week schedule, but even within that
Okay.
format, you can flex the number of days.
Okay.
Um, it gives teachers who need, I mean, for us, our summers are incredibly busy and we do a lot of stuff during the summer.
Right.
So it makes the most sense to take the summers off
Right.
rather than trying to squeeze in homeschool days into our summer because it
Right.
just restricts our lifestyle too much.
Right.
So,
So
and
again,
for
it's
some people,
what works for
mhm,
your family. I loved the year-round idea, but because of where we live, we have a very, very short summer. We have a very long winter. So, I tried year-round and I thought, no, I need that whole summer off. So,
exactly.
um, do what works for your family, where you're
Yep,
located, what works for your kids. Like you said, you have busy summer, so it allows you to do. So it's the freedom again to do what works best for you. And again, like Audra said,
exactly.
it can change from year to year.
Yeah, yeah.
Wonderful.
And every schedule is different. So there's what I like to call or consider, and probably nobody else calls them this, but kind of like a non-traditional format.
Okay.
So those are times where maybe we cover certain topics during certain months. So you may cover, let's say, math and language every day, every month, but you
Okay.
rotate art and science and
Gotcha.
history, and you do those for a month at a time, and you
Okay.
kind of do those in a revolving cycle. You can do another kind of non-traditional format would be to kind of set up your routine to match a school schedule. And this kind of is a little bit like days, but you do math and language daily, and then you do your science Monday, Wednesday, Fridays,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
or, September and October and, November, again, that kind of loop schedule
Right,
for
right.
your year for those they're not really extracurriculars, but they're your social sciences and stuff that don't have to be
Gotcha.
covered daily in order to be successful.
Okay, so what I'm hearing over and over is as you schedule your year, there is flexibility. It's
Hmm.
what works best for you. So don't
Right.
get again, you're hearing a theme throughout this series. You do not have to put yourself in a box. You do what works best, and you don't need to compare with what everybody else is doing. And it can change and it can
Yes,
shift. You're getting your learning in one way or another. It just might look different. So that's our
exactly.
year. So now will you break us down into what is an average homeschool? And there is no average, if you learned, but that's what
Right,
we're
right.
going to talk about. What does a homeschool day look like? How do we schedule our day to day?
Okay, so that depends on your family's life. So
Okay.
in my house, I'm going to give you the example from my home. Okay,
Okay.
my kids are naturally early risers. Okay, like ridiculous. Most people are still rubbing the sleep out of their eyes when my kids wake up. I mean, we're 6:30 is their usual get up time,
Okay.
and we can fit breakfast, getting dressed for a day. I can fit a workout in, and I can get that proverbial load of dishes done, and we
Right.
start school at 9 in the morning.
Wow. That's amazing.
And yeah, but that's what works for my kids.
Right.
And for some families, though, that is way too early. So they start at 10 or 11 or after lunch. I mean, if you have itty bitties, or for example,
Right.
if you have itty bitties, you have an hour in the morning when your 2-month old takes their morning nap, and then
Right.
you get chores and life done from 11 to 1, and then their afternoon nap is when you school again.
Exactly.
So your day to days can be whatever you need it to be. Maybe dad comes home and teaches the kids math after work, so you do all your other stuff, but your school day technically extends into your evening because dad's teaching them math or
Right.
science or whatever.
So
It
again,
can
what
be
works for your family, and it changes. Like you
exactly
said, you might have littles, so you work during the nap. But then I've noticed as you get into those preteen and teen years, their whole circadian rhythm shifts, and they're
shifts.
up later at night, which means they sleep later in the morning. And
Hmm.
and the beauty of that is we can shift with it. We can
Yes,
shift according to our family needs. So we can shift our
exactly.
days, we can shift our years. It's just very flexible. But again, we're getting it done. We're just getting it done in the time that works for us.
Right. And that's your kind of your daily hours. You're also going to find school, that whole public school 8 to 3:30.
Right, right.
That's 7.5 or 8, sometimes 9 hours at school.
Right.
Okay, don't let it freak you out when you're done in 2.5 hours at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
Okay?
So many parents say that. Do I have to do this for 7 to 8 hours? No, you don't.
No,
It takes
exactly.
at least half the amount of time because you're
Right.
focused on your kids. You don't have all these outside distractions that
Hmm.
don't affect you. So you're right. Don't let it freak you out, but don't get in your head that you need to take 7 hours. If your kids are done, be done.
Be done. Exactly.
Right.
Let them run with it.
Right.
Um, so we're kind of looking at our days and our hours, but one of the other things you can do is remember that in your week format, you can do 5 days a week.
Mm,
You can do 4 days a week. You could do 3 days a week and just adjust the duration of your school year to kind of
right.
cover your materials. Um, so not only do the hours in your day flex based on your lifestyle and your schedule, but even your weekly schedule and what that looks like can shift. I
Right.
do a 4-day school week because one day a week I have co-op, and that's also when I do my bi-monthly shopping trip.
Right.
So I'm not missing school. I'm just scheduling a 4-day school week to fit our life.
That's great. We do a 4-day only because I am the kind of when you go back and you do the teaching styles, if you go back and listen to that one, I'm one of those moms that I get it done and then I have a hard time doing all the fun, wild, extra. Like if there's a project with the lesson, I'm like, and we'll do it later. And then we never get to it.
Mhm.
So I have
Right.
learned because of who I am, I do a 4-day. And then on the 5th day, it's for all that stuff. It's for all the extras, the activities. And that way it's scheduled in and it allows me and almost forces me to do those things. So there's so much flexibility to work with our families, our teaching and learning styles. You make your schedule so that it works best for what you need it to work for.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I mean, again, it's amazing what you can do with a little bit of time in your day and how flexible you can make it to fit your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So, also you were talking, I see we can talk about some unusual circumstances. Why having a loose schedule? And I do think it is important to have a loose schedule. Some of these wiggly willies, they don't want to
Hmm.
schedule it all. They want to throw it all out. It is important to have a loose schedule because we have unusual circumstances that hop into our life and we can
Right.
plan for the things we can't plan for in a sense, correct?
Right. Well, so some things you know are coming, like having a baby, right?
Right. Right.
I've had a number of friends who, when they were expecting baby, they spent the couple months before really being super on track, super on target, and just getting a little bit ahead. And then they took the month after baby came off
Yeah.
and just didn't stress trying to fit it all in.
I
And
love
then they
that.
just did a little ahead for the next 6 months, or they just picked up where they left off and just rolled with it as it went. I mean,
I
my first homeschool year, I had a newborn like 4 weeks before. So I literally started homeschooling with a baby on my hip.
wow.
Um, and it was great because, oh gosh, baby's fussy and croupy today. You know what? We're not going to do school, or we're
Right.
going to pop in an educational video for the
Right.
afternoon, and we're
Because
going to
the
do that.
reality is
And
that is school. I mean, your
yes,
children are learning so much. And so we kind of need to get out of our heads what is school? Because the reality is
right,
life is school. Going to the grocery store with mom with a budget and a list, that is school. Having a new baby come
right,
home and learn. I mean, that is school. So sometimes we get in this rigid, like, these are my hours. This is what I need to accomplish. This is school. This is
right,
not school. Um, where we need to give our kids just a situation where life is learning and
right,
all things are learning. And so it's not necessarily this is school, this isn't. We do have the math and the language in those, but
right.
all things we do as homeschool moms are learning, and that frees us up a little in our schedule as well. And Audrey, you have this amazing illustration of a fishbowl that I think will really kind of help moms tangibly understand this. Will you share with us that a little bit?
Sure. I actually borrowed this from Linda Patchen. So
Oh,
it was a perfect illustration. And then I added a little bit to it to kind of
wonderful.
build up the rest of the space in my mind for this story.
Linda
So this
Patchen's a homeschool hero and a homeschool
homeschool mama.
pioneer. And
Yes.
yeah, so let's
So
hear it.
um, the fishbowl illustration here. So imagine your life as an empty fishbowl. Okay.
Okay.
And what you're going to do is you're not going to just start willy-nilly dumping things into your fishbowl and expect to actually have something that resembles a put together life, right? And
Right.
and it's going to be disjointed, just jumbled. Things are not going to fit.
Right.
So what you're going to do is you're going to start off with looking at your life as a fishbowl, and then you're going
Okay.
to add the big important things. These are your rocks, things like getting school accomplished and what you need to accomplish at a minimum on any given day. You're still a mama who has to cook meals for your family. So that's a big deal, right?
Right. Yeah, that doesn't go away when you sign up for homeschooling.
No. So a lot of these are just real life things like, okay, I
Right.
need to actually like sweep the stuff off the floor so the toddler doesn't get them
Right.
kind of scenarios. Basic daily chores, maybe exercising because that's what your release is, going for a walk. So those big things that take a reasonable chunk of time, but that are critically important to your daily life,
Right.
you need to put those into your fishbowl first.
These would be
right?
like the non-negotiables, right? These are the things.
Exactly.
Okay. Gotcha.
Exactly. So next you're going to kind of go down to the gravel stuff,
Okay.
which is, maybe the deeper cleaning, your once a week chores that are, again, that whole deep scrubbing, mopping the floor doesn't necessarily have to happen for most people every
Right.
day. It's a once a week thing.
Gotcha.
Your grocery shopping trips, like for
Okay.
me, it's a once every 2 weeks phenomenon.
Right.
Extracurricular activities or lessons, like even like your one day that you make into
Right.
your catch up on all day activities day.
Right.
Any obligations you have as far as your extended family, you're going to church, those are kind of the gravel, and you drop those in next. So these are
Okay.
non-negotiables, but they're not
They can be
non-negotiables.
fudged a little bit. They're
They can
non-negotiables,
be
but
fudged.
you can fudge them around. You can right.
shift them
Correct.
to fit into
Gotcha.
your life.
Gotcha.
And a lot of times these are things that you can actually schedule ahead to fit into your daily life. You don't necessarily
Right.
schedule cooking dinner, right?
Right.
These are the things that go on your calendar for, these are the
Right.
ones that go onto your calendar next.
Gotcha.
And these will kind of fill in spaces between your big rocks, the big important
Gotcha.
stuff.
They go on your calendar in pen though. They're in pen.
There.
And then the next
Yeah.
thing we have are going to be your pencil things. And which
Your
ones are those?
your pencil things. Those are your sands. Those are the volunteer work that you want to do. So
Okay.
you'd like to go volunteer down at the rescue mission. These
Gotcha.
are getting onto your email just to get on your email. It's social media just to scroll. It's long conversations with friends, field trips and play dates, things that would be nice, that yes, they're important, but these are going to be less important in your list of items. And there's also things that you can schedule way out. They aren't things that have to happen this week or today.
Gotcha.
So those are your sand items.
That's your sand stuff.
Right. And you got to sprinkle them, not fill every moment of every day with your sand. You kind of sprinkle it in so you get fed, you get the relationships you need, you get out of the house on those adventures once in a while, but you don't want to be going on 3 field trips a week.
Right. And you have a feel for your family. Like there's oftentimes where you might be able to handle 3 days a week, and then you start to feel the pulse of your family shift a little bit, and kids are having meltdowns and people are feeling overwhelmed. And that's what we need to know with the sand is it is shifting sand. You can, it ebbs and flows, and just be careful, because I see a lot of homeschool moms filling their bowl with this, and they are kind of neglecting those non-negotiables.
Right. Exactly. So the next component in your fishbowl is your water. So this is the stuff you can pour in after all those other firmly set things are in place.
Okay.
And this is going to be, casual, just go out for lunch for fun or a cup of coffee, going out recreational shopping, self-care, what it's a lot of times referred to as self-care items, deep cleaning and organizing. Some of the things that just give you that kind of feel.
Right.
Okay. They need to be there. Notice the water's in the bowl.
Yeah. The fish can't live without the water. It needs to be there.
Exactly. It has to be there.
It's fluid. It's moving. It's
right. It'll shift, and it needs to, this is kind of, you don't want to, this is not push those things out indefinitely.
Right.
This is like you schedule it once a month or every 6 weeks, or you tackle those when the door is open, because sometimes when you build margin into your routine and into your school life, this is where those spur of the moment, I'm free to go do coffee, let's go do coffee, and then you're at liberty to do those because you've already established everything else into your routine that you need to.
Wonderful.
And then I added air, and to this equation, because that top of that fishbowl, if you have it filled to here, as soon as something big comes in and plops in over the top, everything overflows. And what
Totally.
gets lost first? Those water, those life-giving things. So what
Right.
I call the air is your margin. And when you talked about this already,
Yes.
is you have to have white space in your day.
Yes,
You have to
absolutely.
have it in your week.
And
You
it
have to have it
has
in your
to
month
be
and in your,
scheduled in. It doesn't just happen.
just
I
like
mean,
everything else.
it will go away if you don't schedule it in. So you must
Yes.
schedule in margin.
Yes. And that is so critical to maintaining your keeping from becoming overwhelmed because
Right.
you are taking a lot on when you homeschool. You're taking a lot on when
Right.
you parent. And now you're putting all these together into the space.
Right.
And so you need to have the margin to sit down and read a book or
Right.
again take that opportunity to go for a walk that you didn't know you were going to get or
Exactly.
visit a friend.
Right.
Yeah.
And as homeschool moms, I just want to hit, we haven't hit on this yet, but it's probably one of the most important things we can say is you must schedule in your time with God each day and your time in your marriage. It is
Yes.
it's so easy when we start to homeschool to squeeze those two things out. And especially what I see a lot of homeschool moms do is they jump on this and it replaces their marriage. That's the first
Mhm.
thing that goes is your time with your husband. It's out the door,
Right.
you don't have time. And I have to tell
Right.
you, that should be one of your number one things
That should
because
be a rock.
it should absolutely be a rock, and you must make it a rock, and it takes effort, because
Mhm.
if you don't schedule that in and that starts to go, everything's gonna crumble. So,
Yep. Everything has to be
schedule
done.
in as a rock time with the Lord and time with your husband, and that I cannot say that enough
Absolutely.
to new homeschool moms. It's a mistake many of us rookies made in the beginning, and
Yeah.
it causes a lot of trouble. So put your husband and your marriage first because that's more important than any math equation that you could teach your child in
Exactly.
the long term because we're forward thinking with our children. So,
Yeah.
um, so that I think there's so much good information there. I think you got a lot of examples, a lot of options for scheduling. But the biggest thing I'm hoping parents walked away from is that you have a lot of freedom. You have a lot of freedom
Right.
in your schedule. But again, just think of the fishbowl thing. We can maybe we'll even get a printable made up of that, so homeschool moms can put that in their lesson plan books. I'd love to have that visual in my lesson plan book. So as I go to schedule my year, my month, my week, my day, I remember priorities. So,
Yes.
wonderful, Audra. Thank you so much.
For sure.
This wraps up session 5, and make sure you go back and listen to the other sessions. These are standalone sessions, so please feel free to share any of these with anybody. Come back and view again. And just we hope to be an encouragement to new homeschool families and those that need a resource to share with others. So join us back. We have more sessions to come. Thank you, Audra. And
Yes.
we pray that you are all blessed and encouraged.
See you later.